Gold, stocks, silver, real estate. There's a lot of different assets being talked about right now in the economy, in news and media, social media. What are you looking at primarily, and what assets are you seeing benefit from all of the things going on in the world right now?
First, starting off, I'm a contrarian investor. I am Mr. Contrarian. What everybody else is talking about, then I'm going to do the opposite of what everybody else is talking about. Or I'm going to go search for another lane, another avenue. The two things that I see right now that's the best opportunity that people think is the worst opportunity is stocks and real estate. The reason why stocks is the best opportunity, of course, we're about 15%. We got a little rally yesterday. So we're about 12% from the highs on the S&P 500. We're about 15% from the highs for the Qs. I think this administration gonna capitulate more. The hard stance, I love the hard stance. I love the market coming down to have enormous buying opportunities. But I think the administration is they're gonna cave more. I mean, we went from retaliatory tariffs to now we have baseline 10%. We went to 125, now 145% tariffs on China. But it just came out today that there is items that's exempt from the Chinese tariffs, and that's cell phones, semiconductors, chips, flat screen TVs, really everything electronic and have to deal with computers that's exempt. But it is some companies that's out there that's not exempt. So I think that with the idea that a deal will eventually come when from China, I think that it's going to be a lot of stocks that's going to get depressed more based off this news that came today. That's going to give you an opportunity. I mean, one that comes to mind is Nike. Nike will provide opportunity there. I expect the NVIDIAs, SMCIs, all the chip players to rally on Monday based off this news. Cell phone companies, the Apples and things like that, they will rally off this news. But it will be some companies that's still impacted by the tariff. But again, I think a deal will get there, or the administration will capitulate, and then those companies that still being impacted by the tariffs right now will be great buying opportunities to move forward. In real estate, I think that the higher interest rates, the bond market is still selling off. I think Friday we closed at 7% for the mortgage rates on Friday. And then, of course, when people see higher mortgage rates or 7% or 8%, most of the population in the United States will avoid buying houses. We're going into the spring buying season, and then I think that the numbers won't be there to drive demand for housing, and then I think the sellers will have to have a real serious talk with their realtors or with their spouses to lower the prices of homes, and people still won't buy. So I'm looking at opportunities in that space also.
Hey guys, we appreciate you watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button, the share button, and subscribe, and stay tuned for what's about to come next on this video. So in the stock market, do you believe that people should just be worried about buying ETFs, mutual funds, or should they be looking at the stocks that you mentioned and trying to pick that one that's going to make it big?
Well, you think of the Magnificent Seven. It depends on your appetite for risk. That's one. The other one is your ability to do the work. If you want to just be a lazy investor, and I'm not saying nothing wrong with being lazy, the key word is investor for me, I would just stick with ETFs, the VOs, the SPYs, the QQQs, and keep it simple, stupid. That's what I would do. I would just keep it very simple. I wouldn't go do nothing crazy. Again, I think because a lot of the Magnificent Seven controls the Qs, the SPY, that they will rally on Monday. For the people that, want to do more due diligence, that's seeking alpha, that's trying to get, more than the returns on the market, then you can go do some homework and you can look at some of the other stocks that I mentioned. For the most part, majority of people don't want to sit there and do the work. So I believe that they should just stick to ETFs. And I'm not going to lie, 50% of my portfolio, my stock portfolio, is in the QQQs or SPY ETF. The rest of it is in other avenues. And then, I take 25% of my stock portfolio and put it into individual stocks that I sit there and do homework on. So, but for the majority, people don't want to put in the time that I put in. I mean, I'm a nerd when it comes to the stocks and personal finance and things like that. So I don't think they should go venture off, because of course most people just gonna look at the cheapest stock as far as sticker price of the stock, $3 a share, $4 a share, and the next thing you know, they just gonna buy it thinking, oh, it's gonna turn around. It could, but more than likely it won't. I'm looking for companies that's cheap versus price to sales, cheap price to earnings, cheap versus debt to equity ratio, return on equity. That's what I'm looking at. Those are the things that I'm determining stocks is cheap and trying to take advantage of those.
Yeah, and so I mean, a lot of people are talking about buying gold buying silver. Robert Kiyosaki's videos are getting popular right now, and he's talking about buying more silver. So I think it's sparking fear because obviously, as we can see in the silver and gold market, it's rallying, and we always talk about, you don't buy when something is rallying. In your case, you had bought back in the 80s. I think that was the perfect time to buy. That was when you had to grab it right there. What are your thoughts? I mean, I kind of know what you're gonna say, but what do you think about people talking about gold right now?
I think it's a disservice. I think they do Robert Kiyosaki a disservice because he says some things that's outlandish to people right now, and that's why I give a lot of respect to Robert Kiyosaki, because I say some things that people say is outlandish. Because the thing is again, most people are lazy. Most people only believe what they hear in the news. Robert Kiyosaki is looking down the road. For his video to be popular now, talking about gold when gold is rallying, not popular when gold was not rallying, is insane to me. It's crazy. When gold's rallying now you're starting to see the emails from all these different gold coin people talking about investing. Again, I'm a contrarian, so I want to invest in stuff that people are not paying attention to. So when it's rallying, all my work was done there. I put all my money in there. So when the rally comes, I'm just taking the money. Of course, I know I'm gonna have, the backing of the media, the backing of the government, the backing of all these gold companies pushing it down people's throats, saying they need to buy now after, gold and rally 100, 200%. So, but that's the key element of it. But I think they do Robert Kiyosaki a disservice, because they're only looking at the now, what's in the news now, instead of, Robert Kiyosaki is looking down the road. Robert Kiyosaki is looking at the fact that the dollar, they keep printing dollars. It's funny. You have to go work, and you and I have to go work for, dollars. We put our blood, sweat, and tears to work in, 40, 50, 60 hours a week to come up with the dollars, and the government could just print what I've worked. So, so that's what he sees. So now you got to take advantage knowing that, because, eventually it's going to come to roost. Eventually it's going to come home that some bad things going to happen. And yet here we are. So Robert Kiyosaki buying gold in the 70s, the 80s, buying crypto super cheap back at $5,000-$6,000. Now he's benefit from it. And then now all these other people are jumping on the train late, and they're just making the people who invested earlier richer. But the key element of it is they won't be able to keep pushing the market higher. Eventually it's going to stop, and then they're not going to have the returns that Robert was talking about, or they're going to lose money because they don't know what the hell they're doing, because they wasn't looking at the contrarian perspective. The contrarian investor wins, and Warren Buffett is one of the biggest contrarians out there, that people, they give him, he's old, he don't know what the hell he's doing, but he's always ahead of the game. And that's what I shoot for, to be ahead of the game. I don't want to be part of the crowd. My motto, wide is the road to destruction. Narrow is the road to salvation, and very few people find that. I want to go find that narrow road to seek alpha, to get the biggest returns possible, not just follow the crowd into the craziness that they're doing.
Yeah, and so to wrap it up, last question for you would be, in the real estate market, with rates that were coming down on the 10-year treasury, we could see that it had dropped and then it spiked right back up. Do you think this is going to cause more desperation in the sellers of real estate? People that have their properties listed on the market were hoping they could hold out longer, and now they're seeing rates are just going right back up.
No, I think desperation hasn't set in yet, because we're headed into the spring buying season.
Okay.
Spring buying season, that's when most people move, most people sell their homes. So that's what they're counting on. Now the spring buying season go by and it's not a lot of transactions and people houses aren't on the market. Then they're gonna have to have conversations with their realtors. They're gonna have to have conversations with their spouses or whatever, and start dropping the price, I think, drastically, especially if the interest rates stay up here and then they keep selling off the 10-year treasury and interest rates still go higher. I think that's when the capitulation is gonna stop. Alex, you know me, super contrarian. I don't try to buy during the spring buying season. I'm always in the non-mobile season. I'm in I'm in October. I'm in October to March. That's where I'm at. And then I let the spring buyers do their thing, but I think it's gonna be a lot of fall through, and the spring buying season will not be nowhere near as hot as it was the past 4 years. You can combine them, you can make them year over year, you can make them whatever. I don't think the numbers is gonna be anywhere close. And then that's when you're gonna see a lot of prices. And then in the commercial space, it's a lot of people that's offsides on their commercial space, and then now they have a lot of debt due. The smaller banks And the people that do commercial lending, you know, did extend their protection 1 year on their interest debt that they owe, but now that's about to come to roost also. So there's gonna be a lot of people that got to come up with a lot of money, or they're gonna have to offload those commercial real estate deals at a cheaper price to get out of them, or they're gonna have to hand the keys back to the lender. So that's the avenue I'm really looking at. You know, being a contrarian, I'm looking at things where everybody's saying, "Oh, the housing market's bad." Okay, well, stay bad. Let me grab some while y'all all work, and then go from there. That's really my view on it. I don't follow the crowd whatsoever. What everybody's doing, like I said on Monday, I 100% believe that the market will be higher based off the news that just came out for this call, with doing a lot of exemptions on electronics and things like that.
That said, guys, if you have any questions on what's going on right now, don't feel afraid to let us know or ask us in the comment section. Hit the like button, share this video, and we'll see you guys on the next one.